Wailing Wall, the Al-Barak Wall, the Kotel. All of these names refer to the 187-foot-long exposed section of what is commonly called the Western Wall. It is regarded as the last remnant of Herod's temple. In its entirety, the wall stretches more than 1,600 feet, most of which is now hidden by residential buildings. The total height of the wall from its foundation is estimated at just over 100 feet, with the exposed section standing approximately 62 feet high. The wall consists of 45 stone layers, 28 above ground and 17 underground. The wall dates back to the end of the Second Temple period. Herod the Great constructed it from limestone. Around 19 BCE, Herod took the plateau where the First and Second Temple stood and expanded it to the present-day Temple Mount. The Western Wall forms part of the retaining perimeter of the Temple Mount. As with most sites in Jerusalem, the Western Wall is considered a revered site by multiple religions. Thousands of people visit the Western Wall every day, many of them pilgrims who come to pray, leaving notes for God in between the ancient stones of the wall. For those who can't make it to the wall in person, notes can still find their way to the wall. Each year, the Jerusalem Post Office receives thousands of envelopes addressed simply to God, Jerusalem. The post office folds the notes and slips them between the stones. Letters are also received for Jesus, the Virgin Mary, and King David. But the chief rabbi at the Western Wall will only allow notes for God to be delivered. To Jews, the wall is the most holy place accessible in the world and is a place of pilgrimage. Because of Muslim control, Jews are not allowed on the Temple Mount, and therefore the wall is the closest permitted site to the foundation stone, the holiest spot in Judaism. After the Six-Day War in 1967, the Ministry of Religious Affairs of Israel began the excavation aimed at exposing the continuation of the wall. The excavation lasted almost 20 years. Situated to the north, the men's prayer section in front of the Western Wall is an underground area where many Jewish men go to pray. Women are not permitted here. The Western Tunnel is 900 feet long and 3 to 6 feet wide and 8 feet high in some places. This section is called the Master Course. The Master Course was built to support the weight of the Temple Mount. The biggest stone in the Western Wall, often called the Western Stone, ranks as one of the heaviest objects ever lifted by man without powered machinery. It's 42 feet long, 14 feet deep, 11 feet high, weighing 600 metric tons. It is an impressive sight. At the northern portion of the Western Wall are remains of a water channel, which originally supplied water to the Temple Mount. The exact source of the channel is unknown. At the end of the aqueduct, we come to a large pool. The pool is called Struthion. When Herod expanded the temple area, he blocked off the southern side of the aqueduct, and the pool was split into 2 parts. The northern section continued to bring rainwater into the pool, but the southern section no longer had any function. When the foundation of the convent of the Sisters of Zion was being dug, the nuns had another wall built to prevent strangers and explorers from entering into their convent through the basement. The tunnels transport you back through an earlier era where you can experience artifacts, touch stones, and walk where biblical figures have walked, which has been concealed for nearly 2,000 years. The tunnel emerges onto the Via Dolorosa near the first and second stations of the cross. Via Dolorosa, no journey is more central to the Christian culture than the one taken by Jesus through the streets of Old Jerusalem. And it is believed by Christians to be the path that Jesus walked on his way to his crucifixion. It is called the Way of Grief, or the Way of Suffering. Via Dolorosa is marked by 9 of the 14 stations of the cross. The last 5 stations are inside the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. Station 2 is Ecce Homo Arch that leads into the Church of the Sisters of Zion. Beneath their chapel, very close to the Struthion pool, are stones that were chiseled for ancient dice games, which gives support to the hypothesis that this was the place where the Roman soldiers gambled for Jesus' clothing.
As a people watcher, this is where I get my fix, absorbing the sights, sounds, and fragrance of this ancient city.
The most honored and one of the oldest buildings in Jerusalem is the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. The Church of the Holy Sepulchre is also called the Church of the Resurrection, or the Hill of Calvary, where the New Testament says that Jesus was crucified. The sepulchre is also said to be the location where Jesus was buried. First built around the year 335, it has been destroyed and restored numerous times. It has endured invasions, earthquakes, and fire. According to ancient mapmakers, the sepulchre was the center of the world. The Holy Sepulchre is not a typical church or cathedral, but a maze of many chapels, religious sites, and caverns owned by many different Christian sects. The atmosphere is heavy, charged with the prayers of believers. The stone of unction. This is where the anointing and wrapping of Christ's body after his death has been commemorated since medieval times.
The stone is so revered by those who visit. I am the last person who wants to disturb the spiritual experience by shuffling my camera around. It's all I can do to fade into the background and allow these solemn moments to happen as if I weren't there. And despite the thousands who visit, the stone itself maintains an aroma of sweet flowers.
Golgotha, the hill of Calvary. Through the glass around the Greek Orthodox altar can be seen the outcrop of rock venerated as the site of the crucifixion. Christ's tomb, the most sacred site of all. Inside, a marble slab covers the rock on which Christ's body is believed to have been laid. The Rotunda, rebuilt after an 1808 fire. Oversight of the church belongs to 5 different Christian groups. The Eastern Orthodox, Roman Catholics, Armenians, Coptics, and Ethiopians. This makes for complicated arrangements that have been essentially unchanged for centuries. Disputes are not uncommon, particularly over who has the authority to carry out repairs. One example, a wooden ladder left on a ledge just above the main entrance since the 19th century. Because no one among the Christian faiths can agree on who has the right to take it down. Fights between monks from different sects in the sepulchre are not uncommon. particularly on important holy days. Passions run high. All it takes is a monk being in the wrong place at the wrong time in a religious procession.
It never fails to amaze me. No matter where you are, even here at some of the holiest sites in the world, you always have to be prepared for the unexpected.
Watching monks do battle outside of Christ's tomb is truly a surreal experience. Of all places, come on.
After decades of hostility, neither side is rushing to compromise. Father Jerome Murphy O'Connor, a professor in Jerusalem, has witnessed numerous church disagreements during his 40 years in the city. He has said, "I'm not hopeful either for peace in the Middle East or for peace in the Holy Sepulchre." This is Jerusalem, a divided city, a city of paradoxes, a city on the fault line with her people on the edge of history. What happens in Jerusalem affects us all.
Traveling and recording my journeys is more than just a job. It is the art of finding what was once thought to be hidden and bringing it into the light through the lens of my camera.